Like my first trip ever outside of my hometown, without my parents, without anyone else. And it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And we started to chat. And I mean, like, it wasn't even calling, it was messaging, like writing letters. It was long letters. And this is what I loved about our beginning of the relationship. I learned to know him as a person. So it started to become like a really adventurous kind of game, you know, like when your mind is always working as like, okay, I would like to do this. I would like to do it with this person, like planning the photo shoots. You know, Athens, when we came here, it's like a huge playground full of, you know, like new toys for me, because here it's more urban than, you know, than Crete. Like, but from the beginning, I knew that I don't really want to work with professional models. I'm drawn to real people. And I'm drawn to, you know, the stories maybe like even behind those people.
This is Expat Experts.
Welcome to Expat Experts. Today we are recording from this amazing terrace in Halandri, Athens, with some wind. But Natalie just provided us the amazing space today. I'm really happy to have you as a guest.
I'm very surprised, and I'm very happy to be here too.
Thank you. Natalie is originally from Russia, lived in Ireland as far as I can recall, and now living in Athens since quite some years.
Yeah, I've been here since 2013.
Okay, that's...
So it's been almost a decade.
Wow, okay, yeah, not bad. So yeah, I think just before we go directly into the episode, as always, remember to follow social media, all the things, Instagram, Facebook, and all of that kind of things. On top of that, of course, following in Spotify and YouTube and the streaming channels, which is where we really appreciate your follow at the end.
We're like trying to look cool, but it's impossible because the wind is really strong.
We always look cool. That's all right. So yeah, without further ado, I would say that we enter directly into the first part.
Let's do it.
The Expat, Episode 7 with Natalie Gushchina.
As I said, you are originally from Russia. Where in Russia, actually?
Well, usually when I call the name of my city, a lot of people would be like, okay, anyway, it's called Izhevsk.
Okay.
We're famous for Tchaikovsky and for Kalashnikov. Kalashnikov is actually from my city.
Okay.
And Tchaikovsky was born and, you know, lived the whole life in the village nearby. So this is like two things I try to point out, and people are like, okay, they can relate to.
Okay. Where is situated in?
Oh, my geography is not my best thing, but I think it would be something like northeast from Moscow.
Okay.
And if now people from Izhevsk are watching, they're like, shame on you, but...
Well, there is not much northwest of Moscow, I think, no, in Russia. So,
it's a big country.
So at the end, I suppose distances here are small compared to distances in Russia somehow.
It's very different to get used to the distances in Greece, exactly, like, because, for example, when we traveled back home, we would take a train to go from Moscow to my city, and it takes 18 hours. For Greeks, 18 hours is like, what? It's like going to another country.
It's like taking the train in Greece also. The only train that they have in Greece.
Yeah, but it takes you how many hours to go to the north? Like 4 or 5?
I think it's 4 hours, something like this, yeah. So yeah, I mean, of course, compared the sizes, and this is always something typical also when you speak with Americans and people or Chinese people.
Yeah, from a bigger land.
For them, like the trips here by car are like, okay, that's just like crossing 2-3 states, so that's not so difficult. Like,
it's very true, because we moved to Athens very recently from Crete, where, for example, for us to go to another city would be an hour, and we'd be like, oh, should we go, should we not? Well, here, for me to go to the photo shoot, for example, in the center, it might take an hour. If it's at the seaside, it could be an hour and a half one way. So like, it all depends, really.
Yeah, Athens is not a most comfortable city to move around, I would say. Like, when you compare it to other places, and here, like from the very north to the very south of the city, it can take very long time, and if in rush hour even worse, I would say.
True. I don't have much experience, because my city is relevantly small for the Russian standards. When I lived in Ireland, also the city was really small, as you can imagine.
Okay.
So Athens probably is the biggest one I lived in
Okay.
so far. And it took me a lot of time to get used to this,
Yes.
big time.
Okay. You said you moved to Ireland when exactly?
I moved to Ireland when I finished college.
Okay.
I was trained as a teacher of English. So after I finished, I was like, okay, now I would like to speak, at a certain level.
So why not go to Ireland with the most complex accent on the...
It was actually absolutely a random choice. It was available at the time. It was a trip to go to Galway to learn English in a language school, but you would be a au pair, kind of nanny, which lives in the house. It was an opportunity, and I went. I was 20 years of age. It was my first trip ever outside of my hometown, without my parents, without anyone else. And it was one of the best things I've ever done in my life.
The first trip, not even for visiting other countries, or
Yeah, before that, until the age of 20, we would be traveling to the south of Russia, where I have some relatives, to some other areas, but never outside.
Okay.
Not even back then, it was summer holidays in Turkey or Egypt were famous, but we could not afford it. That's it, So it was I was on my own for the first time in a foreign country. And imagine, back then, we didn't even have mobile phones. So my parents did not know absolutely where they're going to send me. It was just okay, let's hope, you will call us in 4 hours when you land in Dublin. And I still feel really thankful for them not to, being afraid and saying, no, we would be worried. We would be, we're sending you alone. So no, you're not going.
Still parents.
They let me do it. And I'm telling you, it's one of the best things that happened to me.
It's really cool. I mean, how is it for you, feeling wise? Because if you've never leave your country or never traveled abroad, even though you had probably a good level of English if you studied English in university.
I thought I did when I came there. You're right. Irish accent is a different story.
Yes.
But I think when you're young, you are more crazy and you do things and then you think about it. Maybe now I would be overthinking.
So just saying that maybe you didn't overthink it too much. You just had the opportunity and you just took it and you went there.
Exactly.
Where does this opportunity come from?
How I found the whole thing.
Yeah. How does it come that you do university in Russia and then suddenly out of the blue you have an opportunity to go to Ireland?
Look, for some reason, since I remember myself, I always wanted to speak English perfectly. I listened a lot of music in English when I was growing up, Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, all this kind of 90s thing, I was memorizing the lyrics, I was trying to Google the translations. And at some stage, I remember it's my last year in college, and I'm riding a tram to go to home, probably. And I see this ad, which is saying, learning English abroad, au pair, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember exactly, but I was cool. So I take the phone number, I call them, and the chances that I can go there were actually so small because I was not from the wealthiest family. It was really a big amount of money that my parents had to invest. And I come home and I'm telling this to them. They're okay, we will try to figure out something. And I'm just still surprised that they never said no, are you crazy? What do you want to do? I'm the first person from my family who went abroad from the country. They were supported all the way. So slowly we found money. And I remember this process of, gathering the papers because we had to do the visa. We had to find a family, which was some papers, for me to write letters and to do some other presentations. And then the next thing is papers are ready and it's August and, I have the ticket and I'm flying into nowhere. I had no picture whatsoever of the country. I knew that Ireland, the capital is Dublin, they speak English. It's green, it rains a lot, and that's it. That was my knowledge of the country. Yeah, and it was an interesting experience for somebody who was virgin to all of these things. And
okay, and originally we talked a bit before starting recording, but you said that you were originally going theoretically for 1 year.
Yeah, like imagine coming from a conservative family with quite strict parents, where you would be like mostly said no to a lot of things, and then suddenly you turn out to be on your own, you make your own decisions, you taste new things, you see new places, you have so many people from all over the world, because Galway is an international place, like it's a place, it's called the student city. So I have suddenly friends from Spain, from France, from Italy, like from Ireland. And when the year is over, I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave all of that. So basically, I decided to stay. I returned the ticket and I spent there 6 years.
6 years. But that's 5 years more than the original plan. It's not easy to say. Like, what did you do? Like, you just continued doing au pair? You continued studying English? What was the...
I left the family because, like it was good for some time, but then, you also like you're part of a family. So they kind of control your time. You have to babysit the kids, which was not the worst part, but I wanted more freedom. So at some stage I found a job in a supermarket as a shop assistant. I continued studying just to extend my visa because as a Russian citizen I had to be, on these conditions. I found a place. We were sharing a house like in the very outskirts of the city with other 5 people, great guys. And that's it, like I was doing my own thing. I was working on my own. I was earning my money. I was spending the time, whatever I wanted to do. It was independence. It was freedom. And this is what I didn't want to lose. And this is why I didn't want to go home.
Nice.
Oh, if you want a jacket,
I'm all right.
I'm starting to get cold. I'm also nervous, guys, so also this is why. Oh.
Feel free. So at that point of time, you started like, you jumped from being on a family doing au pair, but then start working in there. I suppose you start meeting people, like having friends, having a circle there.
Absolutely.
Did that influence the fact of like, because if you want to say, I stay a little bit longer, maybe you stay 3-4 years, but 6 years, it's quite a long time. It's like defining your 20s actually, like if you end...
Yeah, that was my 20s actually, like it was my crazy 20s, like at least, the level of craziness that, was for me. I got friends there, I got relationships there, I was changing the jobs, moving apartments, like I started to have a life of my own there. Again, I think like back then in Russia, the situation with the work and the money was quite difficult.
Okay.
And working in Ireland, even in a supermarket, I could support myself, I could support my living, I could travel.
Okay.
So this is what I didn't want to change. And then I met a guy.
Nice. Okay.
So yeah, I met my first husband there, who was from Chile.
Okay.
I got married. And at some stage, after some years, they have changed the laws when it comes to the students in Ireland. It became much more difficult. So I decided to leave. And, we had a plan, to separate for a while, but then come back together, which never happened. And basically that's it. Once I left Ireland, I could not dare go back and...
Okay. All of this time you were in Galway or you were in...
Yeah, in Galway. It was all time in Galway. Dublin seemed to me just a big, very big city for me. And Galway was beautiful, it was cozy, I had friends there. I don't drive, so for me it was like cycling, all over the place was just perfect. Yeah.
And getting wet under the rain every day.
The funny thing is, I don't remember recalling like this anger for the weather. Like obviously it was raining all winter long.
Yeah.
And like the Irish way, rain is something different. It's not just like pouring. Sometimes it drizzles. Sometimes, it's just like mist.
Yeah.
Sometimes it pours. Like there are like 50 shades of rain over there. But it never seemed to bother me. I always think that because I was young maybe. And when you're young, you take the things differently.
Sure.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was just perfect.
So in that time, you met this Chilean guy, and then you just like had like already been there 6 years on a visa of student. So you were studying these 6 years continuously.
I was studying, but like when I say studying, I was trying to take different courses which were not so expensive in order just to extend my visa.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was all related with languages or different stuff.
Different stuff. I was studying tourism. I was studying computers. I was studying programming. I was studying more language, because basically in English you can have this different, levels of language.
Yeah.
So I took my first certificate, and then it was, more advanced. So you can do it for quite a while.
Yes.
And that's what I did.
No, I'm asking because we haven't talked about it yet, but you are currently a professional photographer, which is a little bit far away from this linguistics approach or lifestyle, and we will definitely talk about the photography in more detail in the second part of the episode. But it seems like you were gathering a lot of different knowledge and taking a little bit of path. Wasn't it so convincing that the idea of becoming an English teacher, or were you not 100% sure of what to do at that point of life?
Look, good question. I did work as a teacher when I came back from Ireland to Russia.
Okay.
Because obviously I had a really good level of English, which is hard at that stage. It was hard to find in my city, because a lot of people would call themselves a teacher, but their language was more, how would you call it? I could talk in English. They could teach in English. They could teach you English, but they could not teach you the conversation, which I had.
Yeah.
So I started to do the private lessons.
So they didn't speak in English, in an English way, in a...
Exactly.
Okay.
So I was teaching people, how to talk, because most of the time the problem was I know English, I don't speak English. And this is why they would come to me. We would have conversations, I would give them different tasks. So I was for that purpose. I was trying to make them talk in English.
Okay.
Yeah. Never at school though, because I'm a person who hates systems, who hates rules, who hates all this, I hate rules, so I was private all the time. I wanted to do it on my own terms, on my own way, wear what I want, teach what I want. So.
Nice. So you always did private teaching, school private teaching.
I should
No worries.
have the microphone.
Forget that you have a microphone. That's all right. What did your parents think about you suddenly theoretically, your parents, your family in general, suddenly we sent our daughter for 1 year abroad and she stayed 6 years. How did you handle that situation?
Look, they were sad. They were sincerely sad because we were attached. We had really they were strict parents, but they were really loving parents as well. We had great relationship. But what they always did, they never stopped me from doing the things I wanted to do.
Okay.
They would always be so supportive. Now that I'm a parent myself and I think, about these things, they would be if we can do this for you, if we can help you, we will do it. We will never tell you no. Or we will give you our points of view, but we will never stop you from making your own decision.
That's nice. And it's very supporting in a time that because right now you live abroad and you have phones and you can do video calls every 2 days. Internet is there. There is a distance, of course. The face-to-face can never be substituted in any way. But the communication, it's easier. The flying, it's also easier. The traveling, it's also easier, I think, than that moment. So.
You're right. I remember back in Ireland, for example, it was 2004. We don't have mobile phones, or I had this Nokia 3310, which you could call and send messages to. So I would buy a card, and I would go to the center to find the phone booth and call my parents once a week. We would set a time. And imagine, if I don't call it, would be panic. So I had to make it life or death. I had to be there, and we would talk. Then the Skype came into the stage. So we were Skyping from the internet centers. I don't know if you remember. It would be you pay by hour. Oh,
cold?
I don't know if it's me because I'm nervous or it's because the wind is really not good. But
we can go downstairs also if you prefer and do it inside.
Let's sit a little bit more. We were seriously waiting for the wind to stop, but it's not even planning.
No, not really. But if you want, we finish this part and then we go downstairs.
Yeah, let's do that.
So you said that then you went back to Russia due to the fact that Ireland was changing laws, was changing ways of doing, and then suddenly you were
it was really complicated to extend the visa. So I had to go back. Yeah, because I remember the papers, going to the police station, answering the questions. it was stressful all the time, and I decided to go back. My husband at that time, he was planning to fix the things, maybe to find a job, and then to bring me as a part of the family, which never happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, life, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I learned, is like you can, plan all you want, and the things happen the way you don't even expect them to happen, which most of the times for the better.
So you went back to Russia at that point of time, and you start doing private lessons of English
Exactly.
to adults, kids, or
I tried both, and I loved both. I worked with very small kids, like from 3 years of age, which was really fun because this is the best age to learn the language. They learn so fast.
Yeah.
You don't have to explain to them any grammar. You just talk to them, and they
Absorb.
start talking back to you at some stage. And the adults, they were different ages as well. Okay, that was, I think, more difficult because I had some really guys of the years like 50, 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a bit harder.
Interesting. For how long then you were in before coming to Greece? How does Greece happen? When does it happen?
Well, when I came back to Russia, after my first failed marriage, I tried to connect to the Russian guys, and it didn't happen. Like, I went on the dates, I was trying to meet people, and just this something special never happened. So I was like, okay, I'm almost 30. I don't want to end up being a single woman for the rest of my life. I should do something. So I create a web page on a dating website, and I start looking for a husband. At that time, my aim was Spain or Italy because I spoke Spanish, thanks to my ex-husband. And somehow the odds, were in favor of a Greek guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was completely unplanned. And as I said, whatever you plan never happens. I met Kyriakos online. We started to chat. And it wasn't even calling, it was messaging, like writing letters. It was long letters. And this is what I loved about our beginning of the relationship. I learned to know him as a person quite well before we even Skyped for the first time. And then a few months we were just, Skyping, video messages. At some stage he was like, let's meet in person. We go to Istanbul. We spent great 10 days. And since then, we were officially a couple.
Okay. Wow. So you ended in Greece due to the fact of entering a dating site. Interestingly enough, the episode third episode of this year, third or fourth episode of this year, I talked with Alina, which is also a Russian girl living here in Athens. She's teaching Russian languages online, and doing content. And she was saying that she was planning to do some kind of course for Greeks to learn dating words and related dating words in Russian, because it's a kind of common topic here, that they are really interested in
Oh, it might sound really funny, but indeed it's really very, very common. Even nowadays, I end up getting messages from the guys, which would be hi, how are you? I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in any relationship. And they're like, can you introduce us to your Ukrainian and Russian friends? So apparently we are in a big demand.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised. So I hope, Alina, your plan is going to work out. Yeah.
It's curious. So at the end you met with Kyriakos for 10 days in Istanbul, you said, and then from there...
And then there was a year and a half of the back and forth, going to Greece, going to Russia.
Okay.
And then at some stage I was like, okay, we should either figure it out whether we are continuing it, seriously, or it's just wasting of time. I think Greek guys are famous for the fact that they're trying to postpone the fact of the committing. I hope he's not going to watch it and kill me for this moment. So I kind of, asked them, where are we standing? And 2013 in May, I'm coming here to Greece. And since then, I'm here permanently.
Okay.
So it's going to be in a few weeks, exactly 10 years.
10 years, nice. You lived in Rhodos before coming to Athens, or you came before?
Oh, it's a really complicated story. I married a military guy. Kyriakos is the Hellenic army, you know. I always forget his rank. Anyway, he's in the army. And due to that fact, we travel a lot. When I came, we were in Athens for 2 years. Then suddenly he has to move to Rhodes. So we go to Rhodes for 2.5. Then was Crete, where he's originally from, which was maybe one of the best times of our lives. And last year we find out that we have to move back to Athens. That was shock. That was really unexpected, news for us. And since October, we are permanently in Athens.
So you've seen Greece? You lived in quite some places.
Yeah, and I've seen the best part of it because Rhodes and Crete, they're one of the most beautiful places.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you miss the islands or?
I would say it this way. Once you live in Ireland, you are living in a completely different bubble. It's a different life. It's more slow. The distances are smaller. The people are friendlier. I don't know, the whole life, it's different. So this is why I was laughing when I just came to Athens. I'm a villager coming to a capital city, because for me, people, the pace of life, the traffic, the whole, atmosphere is just go non-stop. Where in islands, you're just relax, take your time, let's go to the beach, let's take a coffee, let's do it tomorrow, this kind of mentality.
More chill, everything.
Very chilled.
Yeah, nice.
And more safe, because I remember walking in Crete at 10 at night at 12 at night would be nothing special. Whether here in Athens, I would think twice whether I would like to walk somewhere on my own.
Makes sense. So when you came here, you maybe building a bridge between this and the second part of the episode, and then we can talk about it more in depth. I know that you were not a photographer until coming to Greece. So what did you do when you arrived? The first things that you tried to teach also here, or what was your...
I haven't even thought about this, but because I spoke languages back then, Russian market was quite big because Greece had a lot of tourists from Russia and Russian-speaking countries like Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and some other ex-Soviet countries. I found a job in a tourist company. And I was in the customer service, providing the service for English-speaking countries and for basically Russian-speaking countries. Once we had to move, though, that was a problem. And this is why I started to think about a job which I could do no matter the place. And it's in Rhodes that I had these thoughts that, why not photography? It was, I cannot say it was out of nowhere thought, because at the moment when we came to Greece, we were traveling a lot, and I took always this little point and shoot very old Olympus camera. And I was taking photos of the places, of myself, of my husband. And I remember analyzing the photos, oh, I like this photo. I don't understand why, but I like it. And this one, I like the light. And this a composition. So I started to think about maybe some details of the photography. But once we were in Rhodes, I was okay, what can I do? Photography. Okay, let's do photography. And I go, I buy my camera, and I guess you can say this the starting point,
Interesting.
Very unusual, because a lot of photographers, they would be I was dreaming about
it's a passion thing normally,
since I'm a kid, I had my camera when I was 6. For me, it was nothing like this. I have never thought about being a photographer ever. If you asked me 10 years ago, I would be what?
Why?
Yeah.
Okay.
And here I am.
That sounds nice, though. If you are cold, I would say we stop now this part, and then we come back for the second.
Let's go.
The expert becoming a photographer.
Change of scene for the second part. Ditch the wind and the cold.
And the cold, yes. Being able to look and not, to worry how you look, which is very important.
For a photographer, even more, I suppose.
Very much.
You're never in the sight of the camera, so how is it going? How do you feel?
This is a very new experience for me. Really, I've never done anything like that. I'm anxious now. I feel more relaxed because I got to know you, because we have already done part 1. But in general, I like to control the process. I want to be there, see what's happening, give the orders what to do. So like, this is a out of comfort zone experience.
You sometimes need to push yourself to be there, no?
This is great because this is how you grow. This is how you learn new things. There's no other way.
So you became a professional photographer pretty recently, you said, like actually when you came here to Greece while being in Rhodes.
This is where I took a decision. Yes, it was a spontaneous thought, like why not to become a photographer? And like calling myself a professional photographer took me a very long time because there was always this thing like, what if I'm not good enough?
Mm-hmm.
What if my pictures suck? What if it's like, like always second guessing. So like even now when I introduce myself, like I still feel a bit shy saying a photographer, but it's been now full 4 years, which I was doing this for, like it was commercial. It was actually a lot of very happy customers, wonderful customers who, left their reviews saying that they love the outcome. So I guess like I can exhale and say, yes, I'm a professional photographer for the last 4 years.
Nice. You said it came with like an inspiration, let's say like this, or also the need of like willing to do something due to the situation of moving around a little bit and finding a job that allowed you to do that?
It's really difficult now to recall how it all started, but no, I've never dreamed about this all my life. I was never drawn to it when I was a kid or nothing like this. But once in Rhodes, when I was thinking like, what if I became a photographer and I got my first camera and I started to take photos of my family, of my friends, I got into this. I had this little desire to become better. Or for example, I would look at the photos of some photographers which I admire and it's like, mine are not like that. Why? What should I do? So it would be always like, get better, like change things, I don't know, like figure it out. So it started to become like a really adventurous kind of game, like when your mind is always working as like, okay, I would like to do this. I would like to do it with this person, like planning the photo shoots, seeing some pictures that you would like to create. It became actually a passion.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I can say that I'm fully living this experience, like I could walk in the street looking at people and it's like, it's not about beauty or anything. It's just like, interesting face, interesting, I don't know, movement
way
or some things. Exactly. It's like, I would photograph you. Or like, you would see a spot and you'd be like, oh my God, you could take such a great photo here, and you start having the little picture in your head. I think my husband would be like, come on. It's like, let's go. Because I would be, like stopping on each corner. Like Athens, when we came here, it's like a huge playground full of, like new toys for me, because here it's more urban than Crete.
Yeah.
Crete is more about the seaside, about beautiful old town, whether here is just, like structure, buildings, roads, blocks. I like all this shitty graffiti, all these ruins. This is what like moves me now,
It's a kind of playground for photographers here. Like, I mean, you need to be very much into the urban scene and like liking like more artsy in the sense of like street art and this kind of stuff, and putting the environment around it. It's not so like, I don't know, nature here. It's basically
nature, not, but Athens is like, it has so many faces to this, because you go to Anafiotika area and it's really island-like looking houses. You go to these, let's say, hills which are close to Acropolis, so you can have their olive trees. It's a bit of like nature, so you can have absolutely different photos there. Then you go into the streets, then you have the buildings, the lines, all this geometry, which I also love. And then you can go to the sea. It's far, but it's not impossible. Then you have the water, the sand, nice sun. It's a fantastic place to be a photographer.
You said it started becoming like a passion, and you started grabbing references from other photographers and like things. But did you study photography at some point, or it was all self-taught on trial and error? How was your process of like
both? Because at the beginning, when I just took my camera, I was like, I'll figure it out. So I started to watch a lot of YouTube videos, obviously, a lot. And, I wish I didn't, because actually when I took my first course with one Russian photographer, which style I admired, this is where I saw a huge improvement. And I saw that my pictures now look the way I wanted them to look. So I would definitely say that, it was both. But, courses from a particular people that were inspiring me, they boost my, my portfolio and the way my photos look now.
Okay. So you very recommend to rather try to get to, I don't know, some courses from good photographers rather than trying to figure out
absolutely.
Things.
I'm sure there are some prodigies, which they have their own thing from the beginning and they know what they're doing. I was not. I knew what I wanted my photos to look like, but it took me quite a while to come to this point that, that I look at my photos and say, I like what I do. I love my photos. I like what I produce. And this happened when I started to, to learn from the other photographers, like this particular way how to take the photos or the style or yeah.
How would you describe your own style of photography?
I call myself lifestyle photographer. And I guess, and I heard this a lot, when people look at my photos, they say they look like, like print screen from a film.
Okay.
Which
so that it has some movement in it, or
it definitely has the movement, because for me, motion in my shots is important. I don't like static. Okay. I don't like this, artificial pose and all this kind of things.
Modeling.
It's not me.
Okay.
I like a person who looks at my photos had this feeling of presence at this exact moment in the picture. It's like, you're watching some people doing some private things and you're like spying on them or something like that, if you know what I mean. So this is why a lot of my photos, people don't even look at me. They're doing their own stuff. They're in their own world, in their own moment. And I'm just, capturing what's happening at this moment, which does not mean at all that they're doing whatever. I still direct the process. It's actually a lot of recommendations and then maybe fixing stuff, but the results would be like that. It's a frame from a film. It's the candid, very intimate life. Something that makes you want to look at the photo, think what's happening, why they're doing this. Something like that.
How is the process normally work? Someone contacts you, they want a photo shoot, it's you finding someone. Did it ever happen that you find someone in the street and you stop them and you say, sorry, you have an amazing face?
I did this once. I did this once at the very beginning of my career in Crete. We went to this fantastic beach called Balos. It's famous for its white sand and blue waters.
Yes. I've never been.
If you ever in Crete, you have to visit, because it's nothing like anything else. Anyway, I took a camera with me and I remember seeing this couple. They were Italians, really pretty. I loved the way they were interacting with each other. And I was like, guys, I am a photographer. Would you like me to take your photos for free if you don't mind? And they were like, sure, do it. And I was at the very beginning. I wasn't really, aware of the things I'm doing and how I'm doing this. But I remember the result was like, wow. Because sometimes it depends a lot on people who are in the frame, and they obviously were not new to that thing.
Okay.
So imagine all these fantastic surroundings. This was an overcast day, a mountain on the background, this blue water, and this gorgeous people with nice tan. I still have these photos in my profile, I think. So yeah, I did it. And then I did other couple of times. But now, being 4 years in photography, I definitely prefer to plan the things. I'm the person who has to have the mood board, which is some kind of references. At the beginning, I was in writing, what we're going to do, where we're going to go, doing these little pictures, which I will then take. So yes,
Do you go from the process of having an idea of what you like and then finding the people, or the people contracts you in the way of I would like that, or what is your preference?
You mean it's idea or people, idea first or people
idea
first?
People, yeah, exactly.
It depends. Sometimes there are, things which I see a person, and then in my head I start building this puzzle. What would she wear? Where would it be? How would it go? Or it could be an idea. And I would be so who I want to see in this frame? usually this happens, for the photo shoot which I do for my portfolio, or like some ideas that, I have and I don't cannot do this with the clients. So then I would be like looking for a particular person, a look. Maybe, like lately I was drawn because I'm 42-year-old person, like I can more relate probably easy to the women of my age, like 35 plus. So I'm looking at women which now 40 and older, and seeing them beautiful and still young, I mean, like when you're 20, you think that at 40 life is over, but when you reach that point, you actually feel that, like everything is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think I really want to show this with my photos of taking of this, ladies who are in their 40s and 50s, but they still look wonderful, and they still, and they can look wonderful, kind of like promoting that.
Nice. That sounds really like entering into a new scene of things. Like I suppose you need to reinvent yourself also through years and through time, like to find, okay, I've done so much of this that my portfolio looks too much like that, or and then you need to find new things to do, or does it happen often that you are burned by a topic? For example, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to try something absolutely different.
I think photography is like anything in the life, it's like, it's a process. It's never a destination. So you grow, you learn, you change yourself, and what you want to see in your photos changes, So yeah, I think I find this quite at least once a year when I come to the point and it's like, I'm not happy with my photos. Something is missing. I'm not satisfied anymore. And then I either try to shoot for myself something creative in order to figure out what it is that I want to see, or I go to do some course with some other photographers, which I want to reach their level. So yes, I think if you are stuck in the same, phase where you were 3 years ago, 4 years ago, there is something wrong with you. Yeah. It cannot be static.
Okay. No, makes a lot of sense. I think there is a few jobs where you can really be static and never improve, because if not, you are in a same stage all the rest, and maybe you're very good at a single thing. But if you are a creative mind and you try to push a little bit further than that, you will always try to improve some things.
Exactly.
I suppose. So how much right now of your job it's getting clients? Because I suppose that when you create portfolio pictures, some of the clients that you might take pictures for clients might be useful for your portfolio. Some others are photos that will go to the client but will never be in your portfolio because maybe they are not what you are thinking inside of your portfolio.
Yeah, not
images.
everyone allows you to post the photos,
Of course. Also that. How much of this percentage is right now doing photos for your portfolio versus doing client job?
Look, the situation has changed quite a lot since I came to Athens. Athens is like a huge sea full of fish, especially nowadays. Photography is such a common hobby for many. And being in a big city, obviously, the amount of great photographers is quite big. And I'm new here, and photography is the business that actually, unfortunately, takes time to build, because you have to build a new portfolio based on the location. You have to build a reputation. You have to stand out because there are so many of us. And I think I'm still at the process. Am I at the point where I'm happy? No.
Okay.
Maybe lately I'm even experience a lot of maybe more downs than ups. But c'est la vie. It's life. So at the moment, I try to find any opportunities to photograph, not even clients, just offering photo shoots. I have an idea, or I have a location I would like to add to my portfolio. I would just go to some communities in Facebook and I would look for people and say, hey guys, want a photo shoot for free? Want to be my models? Well, and yeah, it's a little bit of both at the moment.
Nice. Have you ever shoot with professional models? Because that kind of circle seems absolutely different from doing photo shooting with normal people, let's say this, or street people.
Yes, it's very true. But To tell the truth, it's been only once. It's like been
Okay.
once that I contacted the agency and asked if I can, shoot with a model, which was obviously, like a piece of cake, because what, differs a model from a normal person, they know the thing.
How to
They are really
pose,
fluent.
yeah.
Like it's just about, constantly moving. So it's all this like face expressions, relaxed hands, like super nice movement. It was really easy.
Okay.
But from the beginning, I knew that I don't really want to work with professional models. I'm drawn to real people.
Mm.
And I'm drawn to, the stories maybe like even behind those people. So for me, it may be more challenging, but I prefer 100 times working just, with a random person I meet in the street on a website, or like a client who bothers me, then, like use the models. They look pretty, like they would attract, people maybe sometimes to your profile. But I like it the hard way and more interesting way and more maybe like human way, something like that.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. And at the end, if you need to have your vision, and if that vision passes through capturing normal lives, normal scenes of whoever is in there, that doesn't pass normally through a model who is a professional.
Exactly.
In that, because they are faking. No, it's like photo shooting theater. The actors are acting, and then they are in a paper that it's not their life, and therefore they are putting it.
Don't get me wrong. I think photo shoot sometimes is some kind of acting, because like you put people in a situation, you ask them to do things in order to capture. Like I sometimes feel that I'm a director who is directing a movie, and this is how it is, but I'm just, like taking the little snaps of the moments of the things that they do. Models are okay, but my portfolio is not about, the pretty girls, the perfect girls. I want it to be about real people like me, like everyone else. I want people look at it and say, like, I don't have to be perfect in order to be photographed. I can be me. This is what I want to show, like a person, she is who she is, and she's still, beautiful.
You don't need to be in this, what society is defining as a standard of beauty to be photographed.
Absolutely.
That's nice. I think it makes it more close to everyone and more democratic in that sense, I suppose also. When you talk about this part of directing, for anyone who has never done a photo shooting, how does that work? Like you get a couple, for example, and you say, okay, I have this in mind, or they have something in mind, like a location or even a concept. Maybe they are like, we want a photo shooting that reflects whatever. You said before that you do mood boards, you do like, what are the steps to the photo shooting?
Okay, if like, yeah.
In your case, of course, like
it's not always like this, because sometimes like a client contacts me and they just like, and like we meet and we do something spontaneous. But if I shoot for myself and with some clients, yeah, the mood board is important, because I guess I want to show you the mood of how it's going to be, like what I want to get from you and what you will get when I take these photos. So that will be one thing. Then obviously I really like to put the attention to what people wear, which is important part.
Or what they don't wear, like if you go the other way around. But how do you choose that? Like, do you go to their place, open the wardrobes and say this, and this, or?
Sometimes I really ask, like for me, I told you, like I'm a control freak in a way. So if we sometimes, chat, via Viber, and they send me photos, and it depends on the location, because for example, at the seaside, let's say, imagine like you're at the beach, white looks great. Like plain white, flowy dress looks great. Whether if you wear something really tight with like flower prints, which you cannot like properly move because it's so tight, like it reveals the things you don't want to show, it will look completely out of concept, You can do this, but the result will not be the same. So I always try to put in my mind the place, the occasion, the weather obviously as well. But in general, I'm a really simple person. Like I like comfortable. I'm not about glamour. I'm not about, like over makeup, super duper fancy clothes. I always say dress simple. You have to like yourself. Try to avoid the prints. earthy colors, like, like browns and beiges and like whites and blacks, neutral colors. They always work perfectly, because the less loud your clothes is, the less it takes attention from the people who are in the picture. And people is my main subject. So at any rate, I want, people to try to look at their clothes and not at, at the characters on the photos. So we discussed this. Like makeup. I like girls without makeup, or like a little bit makeup doesn't matter as well. So we usually discuss this, and then how I would direct. You asked how I would direct that. I have this thing, like I can switch.
No. That's exactly what this podcast is about. So.
Point of the question. Directing. I always tell them that, if you never done any photo shoots, you probably will feel quite uncomfortable first, like 15 minutes in front of the camera, because it's
voila.
Yes, the point is proven. Because it's awkward. Sometimes I'm a stranger they see for the first time, so we take some time to learn. I take the time to learn how they are, because I like to watch their little, like maybe movements, how they, if it's a couple, how they interact between each other. If it's a girl, some little gesture that she does, when she like fixes her hair, or maybe like she's moving her dress. As I said, I'm not about posing. I want the person, I want the photo to be about the person. So I observe those. And then slowly you give them some directions, even for example, just, little touching, always moving, never still, because as I always say, if you freeze, like if you just stay still, it's just one frame. So whatever you do, move it. You like touch each other, move, fix your hair, touch your face, like all these little things help you to catch those beautiful frames, which at the end, create a story.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense, the fact of like the not posing as the idea, because I assume a lot of people comes with misconceptions of what a photo shooting is. Like a little bit like the top model thingy. I have a pasarela and I just like show a little bit of that, or
yes, it's really cute, because some people come to me and they're like, this is our first photo shoot and we don't know how to pose. And I was like, thanks God you don't know how to pose, because it means you won't do these ridiculous things which look unnatural, because like very few people can pose naturally. And in general, like, I'm not trying to judge, because if some people are into more like glamour and fashion, that might suit really nicely, like posing their style. But because I'm a lifestyle photographer, it means I want it to look as natural as possible. For me is a no.
Please go.
Yeah, so like this is why, like, if you do not know how to pose, this is fantastic. You don't have to pose. You just have to be yourself, and that's it. The rest I will do. And a lot of people always, for example, think that photography is just like me standing in front of them and like clicking at the camera, where in fact I would be
20 Cent, like
1920
with the camera. And
it's not like this at all. I try to capture as many angles as possible, which means like I would be lying down on the ground, I will be climbing the things, I would be, like literally moving a lot. So I usually say, like, you enjoy, relax and have fun, and like I will do the rest.
Nice. I don't know if you can really compare, because at the end you started here in Greece, but at least between the photo shootings that you were doing in Rhodes and in Crete and here in Athens, I think I've seen a couple of photo shootings that you did with foreigners, also like people who were not really living in Athens, but they came like for some days.
Most of my photo shoots are actually with tourists.
Okay.
Greece is a really funny country when it comes to photography industry. I don't know if you know, or I don't know if your viewers know, but let's say back in Russia, photography is a big part of our life. We don't only photograph weddings and baptism like they do it here. We would maybe like go and photograph the Christmas photos, or it's like just, you take your boyfriend, you go for a love story photo shoot. You have a baby or you're pregnant, you capture this moment. Anyway, like we photograph. And here in Greece, sometimes I laugh and say it's a wrong country to be a photographer. because they photograph only weddings and baptism, which I never was really interested into because I find it really, it's a procedure, it's a standard procedure which you have to follow the steps. And
Photos with the bride, photos with the groom.
Yeah, it's like, and where is the creative part? Where is the spontaneous thing? Where is this?
I don't know if you know,
surprise?
You speak Spanish, but I know that you speak Spanish, but I don't know if you know that we call it the BBB, like the Bodas, Bautizos y Comuniones, BBC, like the TV channel thingy in Spanish for both musicians and photographers or filmmakers. We say that if you are like you don't have enough money, you then fall down to the BBC, which is Bodas, Bautizos and Comuniones, which is weddings, baptism and the confirmation of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, you fall into that because it's not really artistic, but you need the money.
Look,
therefore you do it.
But that's the thing, this is the place where this is the area of photography which has money in Greece, and really good money.
Yeah.
Also really good competition, but it's a different story. But yeah, I'm struggling to find at the moment myself and what I can photograph, because I really like those little, just people's moment, people life's moment. For example, a woman is pregnant and they want to picture that moment, or the baby is born and he's just a couple of days old and he will grow and he will change, and they want to take that photo of him just at this tiny first day stage.
And it's not in the culture of Greeks to do that.
All the photo shoots which I've done of this, they were with people from abroad, with people from the States, from Australia, from other places in Europe, but unfortunately Greeks are out of my league when it comes to that so far. I don't know, I hope maybe one day it will change, because now in Greece, as you see, there are photographers from all over the world. We have a lot of Russian and Ukrainian photographers from other European countries, and I think slowly that the culture will change, hopefully.
We'll see. Hopefully for you, yes, of course.
Yeah.
What about event photography? Because that's another big scene, I think, going to concerts, festivals, theater, this kind of stuff. It's still capturing a moment of life, but it's more imposed, no, I suppose.
Again, the thing is, being a control freak, it's something I cannot control.
Okay.
It's a journalistic genre, which I do use sometimes because, it's one of the way how you can photograph the things, and you just, let the thing go and observe. But in general, this is something I have never been interested into. Business portraits, not my thing. Concert or some, events, neither. Plus, you have to be really a person who likes, all this communication and stuff. I'm a low profile. Even though I love connecting with people, I prefer it like that, private, maybe some slow music, nice conversation. I'm not a party animal or big event lover, so not for me.
That makes sense. I mean, I think it's good that you have so clear your own profile of what you want to do. That's very nice. At least you know where you want to shine, because I can assume that a lot of people loses themselves in trying to find, because photography, it's a very broad field. You can be doing landscape photography, and it's very different from, business portrait you were saying, which is
I don't know if it's actually, my strength or it's my curse, because I see here some photographers doing everything. They would do couples and weddings and baptism, and then they do the events and the product photography. They do everything, a bit of everything. And I mean, it's money, but how much at the end of the day, people go to photography, I guess, because they want to create. It's a really, really, it's really creative, kind of things. And if it becomes generic, then it loses the whole, meaning of it. And I'm happy for them that they can do this, but, I don't know if I would be able to do that.
But it doesn't define you that much, no? I mean, if you're capable to do everything, maybe you're not doing everything at the excellent level. You are just doing a little bit of everything and nothing.
I agree.
Properly?
I agree. You cannot be good at everything. Because, for example, even now I know my strength, and, I'm offered sometimes, for example, photographing an event or photographing the things which are not my standard thing. And I tell people, guys, like, I would do this. Will I be good at this? Maybe not. So maybe like you better.
Yeah. You don't expect to see the same results that I have in my portfolio if I'm doing that, because that's not the same thing. I assume it's also like setting up your boundaries in what to do and what to accept and what to not.
Exactly. And I like to be honest with people, like I cannot tell to everyone like I'm great at everything. I usually like, maybe they say maybe like it's stupid, but I would usually, inform people. Let's say the first time I was offered to photograph a wedding, it was a couple, which I photographed as a couple. It was their first reunion in Crete. And they contacted me a year after and they're like, Natalia, we are going to come to Crete. Do you want to photograph our wedding? And I was like, guys, I have never done this. Like, I've never done this. And it's like, it's okay, you will do this. And like, guys, are you sure? Like, I mean, this is maybe stupid. Like, another person would say that just take the opportunity and do it. But I want to deliver 100% the result that people will be happy with. Like, I'm not okay with just giving them something. So this is why, like, I make sure that they know. At the end of the day, it was actually a very amazing experience. But yeah, I want to let people know that, I'm not very good at that.
Makes sense. Right now, are you seeing like next steps in your like career? Is it something in your mind that is like boiling in there?
In fact,
to do?
It does. I don't know if you've noticed, like lately I've been drawn to a new genre, nude. I think I have been drawn to this from the very beginning. And like looking back at my old folders, I find some photos of trying to photograph the Boudoir style, which is women like partially naked or completely naked, which was like ridiculous at the time. Now with my experience and, like my values and the way I am now, I really think I can create this boudoir style for the girls, as much intimate as they can go to, because there are different stages as well. And also for the couples that I've discovered this lately, like not just to photograph your little walk on the beach. What if you go into your bedroom? What if we take a little bit more close? What if you get a bit more intimate? Like to have it more about, the body contact, about this whole sensation of this erotic, very intimate moment between two people. So this is what I'm really passionate about at the moment. It's not easy to find people to practice on, obviously, especially those who want to agree
and make it public.
Public, exactly. But I'm not giving up on this idea. So we will see.
It's interesting, at the same time probably very complex to find people, and also that these photos can enter your public portfolio, because people, and in a society like the Greek one even more, because these kind of topics are still very much taboo.
Let's say we're in the capital, so it's a little bit more free.
It's free.
In Crete, where, it's like a village society, village mentality when everyone knows everyone, I couldn't even dream about it, because everyone would say like, Natalia, no.
So in that sense, at least Athens has brought maybe competence and has brought like more fear of like people being in the market or whatever, but at the same time it's opening some other doors.
Yeah. Like I always, like I was like thinking when we were at the age to move to Athens, and I was really upset because I was like, you don't want to go out of your comfort zone, like I was happy in Crete, I had my clients, I had my routine, I had my income, and I would have to quit everything and start like literally from scratch. I mean, not completely, like start from scratch. And I was afraid, like, what's going to happen? How am I going to do it? Will I be able to do this? I still have some questions left, which I have no complete answers to, but it's definitely, it's growth. It's growth in many ways. And I think like, everything happens always for good reasons. Even if it looks bad at the beginning, it's always for good.
Nice. What's your equipment? What do you use as equipment?
I'm a Sony shooter. Okay. It was my first camera that I got. It was mirrorless, really, really cheap one. I still have it. And once you start buying glass, the lenses, it's very difficult to change.
Okay.
So literally, I had the second camera and now have the third one and the fourth, and they're all Sony, a little bit better, a little bit more advanced, but I'm happy. The thing I'm not happy is that the Sony glass is really quite expensive compared to the other brands, But apart of that, it does the job. You know, I'm familiar with the equipment because also like as artistic and creative I suck when it comes to the equipment. Like I'm literally struggling to figure out the settings.
Cameras are really complex. I'm sorry, but pushing out to whoever's a camera designer, guys, simplify the interface. It's really complex. Like there must be a way easier to simplify these menus. Like, sorry, but it's not easy that the combination of buttons is you touching 3 buttons that are positioned in the camera that horribly.
And especially, I think like Sony has this reputation like for like horrible menu interface, and it does. And I mean, like they say that you're a photographer, you should know your camera like inside out.
And here it goes for the sponsor.
No, I just like,
Sony going up like no, it never been.
I know some buttons which I usually use regularly, and if I don't, I just like YouTube, and you know, and I find the answers there.
God bless YouTube. Another sponsor coming in.
Yeah.
Actually, you wish that they pay. So, in general, like you feel more like tied to photography with people, of course, like capturing moments of life. Have you ever done animal shooting?
Apart from the cat of mine, no, like landscapes. I remember at the beginning when I was still trying to figure out what I want to photograph, I was trying to do some landscape that was in Rhodos, and then whenever I looked at the photo, it looked so crappy compared to the original one. I was like, there is no way I can make my picture look as beautiful as the real, scene. So I just gave up.
Okay.
But plus, like I love human interaction. Like I'm all about people. I like, let's say, female body for its beautiful structure. Exactly. I love people, a relationship, like whether it's mother and child or it's like a couple. Because of this, like sometimes, like I analyze, like I'm proud and I'm really privileged to witness this little moments of their personal interaction and be a part of it. Like imagine a proposal, I've done a couple when I was back in Crete. It was a secret one. So it was just a couple and me. And it would be like at sunrise in the old harbor when, the guy would go on his knee and propose to the girl, and you photograph this, and then they're crying and you're crying as well because it's overwhelming. It's so beautiful. It's so personal. It's so private. And like, you're a part of it. I always thank God, thank universe, whoever is, responsible for everything that's happening, that, I can do this. It's inspirational.
Nice. Maybe the last 2 questions before I do a little bit of a game that I do at the end of the episode, which is always a this or that, let's say like this. What about the editing part? How much do you edit the pictures that you take? How do you do it?
Not much.
No?
At the beginning, when I started photography, I thought I can take a photo, but there is no way I can learn Photoshop, because for me it was something so complicated. It was so overwhelming.
Another incredible interface of buttons, yes.
I was for a very long time afraid to edit because I was like, I won't be able to do this. As I said, like I suck when it comes to technology and other things. I just do not comprehend it. And then I discovered Lightroom and it made my life easier. In general, I really do not like much of I would never edit you looking like you're not you, which some photographers do, and it's okay. It's just not my thing. So once Lightroom came into my life, you just create a couple of presets that, match your style. And the most difficult part of editing is actually selecting the frames that you want to leave.
Yeah.
And shooting per one session, like 1,000, let's say per hour, it could be 1,200, 1,600. And then you have to narrow it for 100. That's where the challenge comes. The rest is easy.
That's a 10%.
Yes. Okay, take into consideration that, some frames are just like this.
Yeah, some frames will be moved, will be not on focus, will not, whatever. That's the easy discard. But at the end, probably you will have 600, 700 frames.
Usually, I know there are photographers which would be like, you get 30 images and then I charge you for the rest. I never do that. Maybe it's a stupid thing to do, but usually I try to give all the good frames, and you as a client would be the last one. Like you can have all of them. I will edit all the good frames and send it to them. And you can have all of them, or you can just download the ones you love. But let's say if it's a solo session, I would end up like 160 frames. For a couple, it could be 200. Because you know what I have noticed? A photographer choice never matches the choice of the client. Let's say I worked sometimes with a couple of brands, I photographed for them. And then, like they would tell me like, so edit that and that and that. And I would be like, I would have never chosen that frames ever. Like, I think this is so much better. And this one is so much better. So, to avoid this kind of thing, just like have it all, guys. I don't mind.
Yeah, but it's again, probably going back to what we were saying at the beginning. No, it's a photo shooting for a client or it's a photo shooting for your portfolio. Then the end user, if it's for your portfolio, is yourself. And of course, the persons who model it would like to have the frames, but it's for your portfolio. If it's a client, it's an intelligent thing to do, like bringing the perspective from the user much faster or sooner, and let them choose the photos that you need to edit. It's actually intelligent because it's like putting the interest of what it's not always.
Look, I thought about this, like showing them all the frames and then let them do the final pick. But at the end of the day, it might last forever because, if you're quite busy with the sessions, just like editing time is so short, you don't want to go back and opening the same folders and edit and re-edit, because at the beginning I would, do this, like I would edit in color and black and white because I'm personally pro black and white. Some shots can live only, in my opinion, black and white. And then the customer will be like, Natalia, I like it a lot in black and white, but can you please convert everything in color because I like it? And it's like, sure, okay, you're the client. So like nowadays, I would probably just, for most of the people, I would do everything in color. And then for my portfolio, I would convert some shots in black and white. Or, there are people who say like, we like the black and white, we want the black and white, give us both. And then I know with them, I will have no problem, with going back and forth and converting and re-editing and stuff like this. So, yeah.
No, that's what I was going to say at the end. You open Pandora's box if you give the option of choosing to
big time
users sometimes. And it's just like, it might maybe extend your time and your dedication too much for it.
And it might sound, like something really easy, and just like people in general think that, photography is just like, it's an easy thing. You just press the button, and produce fantastic images. It's not, guys.
I'm a designer. They think I paint in brushes and pencils still. I haven't touched a pen in the last, 10 years maybe? So I feel you.
So, yeah, like there are some, things that, we're keeping as the professionals. But, what was the question?
No, it's just that maybe giving too much choice to the client overcomplicates the whole process. It makes it too long. It makes that also the clients, it's not their job either. Like,
this is why, like, because I can do them 200 frames, I will give them 200 frames. And, they might not want everything, but at the end of the day, they might want everything. So this is how it goes. And I really never had a complaint. Like, as far as it's been, working for me, I will do this, and, and we will see.
Okay, last questions before I do the this or that thingy. Have you ever thought about like more going into videography or anything? Have you tried ever going into video?
I have tried videography recently. It's really confusing at the beginning because I do not know what I'm doing. Like I started to record this little video portraits, maybe like for 20 seconds of some girls. It's exciting because it's something new to learn, but I feel that I cannot at any rate call myself a videographer because I don't really know what I do. Whatever I do, it's more like intuitive and spontaneous, more than technical and professional. But it's fun because it's a different kind of visual content, That's some things which you can show only when it's moving, plus you add the melody, so like it's more components which affect your perception of the thing, which is great. So definitely, yes, I would like to learn more about this, but would I like to switch to videography? At the moment, I would say no, but you never know.
Sounds good. I mean, it's, I think when you do, if you ever switch, the equipment required for doing videography increases a lot also. Like,
on the other hand, I can still, I mean, like now I'm recording the videos with my cameras, which is totally fine. So like, I think you can still deal with what you have because Sony is a great camera.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally I just need one lens because I have a 50 millimeters, which is a little bit more narrow than what I would like it to be. So 35 millimeters and I'm ready to go, I think.
But then you need to fix camera, because then if you need to stabilize, you need gimbals, you need
See, I told you, I'm not really familiar because I saw some people having some frames.
Yeah, that's a stabilizer. It keeps the camera of moving, and these things are expensive. Like when you enter videography, it's where I suppose the whole.
So I guess I will keep it for now as a little extra.
It's like trying things out.
Yeah, like I'm still offering, sometimes like I have this one package which I like offer a little video because, it's social media nowadays that rules the world, and we like all want the content, or just we want to post something, to show people, where we were, what we did. So this is great addition, but yeah. Like I will stick to 20, 30 seconds, no more. Nice area, but maybe not yet.
I lied. I think now you just said the word packages, and you triggered me. So let me ask another last question. So you offer like bundle packages, for example, so for like of what you will offer to your clients, or like how does it work?
I will tell you something. At the moment, I'm still trying to figure out, like how it works and stuff like this. But basically, yes, like one package is just a lot of people who had previous experience with photography, they kind of used to this time frame packages, which for me and the way I shoot, like 30 minutes for me is like literally, it's just the time I get to know the person. So like 1 hour is the least for me, like amount of time that you can get some great images. My best, probably like preferable time frame is 1 hour and a half, because literally like people don't get so tired of you and the whole process, yet they open and they become acting naturally without, like being aware of the fact that they're being photographed and feeling awkward. So now I'm just offering, let's say, the same time frame, but one has less photos and another one has more and has a little video. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, just to close the episode, I do these kind of questions where, let's say, if you need to choose yes or yes, one or the other, let's say that.
I'm not very good at that.
That's the whole idea of it. Like nobody's good at it. Like when you put two choices on there, there needs to be complex. Let's start with an easy one. I think you already said the preference, but color or black and white?
Black and white all the way.
Okay. Analog or digital photography?
I have to be truth. I have never tried film photography ever.
Okay.
So let's stick to the digital. But I would definitely like to get into this one because the film photography has this whole special feel about it that digital can have only with some heavy editing.
Okay.
So yes, one day I'm definitely thinking about giving it a try.
Nice. Shooting with one person or with two persons, like a couple shooting or single?
But this is a difficult one because it's really, really different. I would say couple, it's easier because, the person, when the person is on their own in the frame, it's more awkward. There is nothing to interact with. You don't know what to do with the hands. So it takes more time to make it feel a little bit more going. Whether with the couple, because they're two, they're supporting each other. They're both, in this thing. So yeah, couple.
Nice.
It's just because it's easier.
Yeah. People interact between them. If you're alone, like watching
this, like even like hands, what do with hands, like what?
I do that even like when I'm talking with people. So I'm like moving my hands randomly. So imagine alone, like it's
no, hands is a really awkward thing. Like a lot of people don't know what to do with them. This is why it's like always like touch your hair, fix the clothes, and you look cool and relaxed.
Shooting in the sea or shooting in the mountain? Like seas.
Yeah, I would say sea. Even though I'm a mountain person, there is something about sea that I like. And especially, like getting people wet all the way and then working with that. This is a lot of fun. And the sand is everywhere. Like you come from the photo shoot from the beach and you're, throwing the sand from every single pocket, from every single place in your clothes you have. You get wet, but I don't know, there is something beautiful about water, and how it glistens on the skin, when the skin is wet, and how the sun reflects, and the sea, 100%.
Male or female models?
Ladies. I am a ladies photographer for sure. I have been photographing a lot of guys lately, which I enjoy because it's like coming out of your comfort zone. But I'm definitely like ladies is my choice of subject.
Nice. I was going to ask tripod or not tripod, but I think you you responded to that, like you move with the people. So I don't think you're going with the tripod with it, no?
No, I told you I have this tripod. I've never used it ever. Like I had it as a present and it's been in my closet for the last 4 years.
Okay. Hopefully the person who will give it to you doesn't hear to this.
Yeah, but you're the first one, by the way.
Nice. Okay. Now it's used because mine collapsed. And maybe let's do one last this or that question, and it would be selecting the clothes for your models or letting them bring whatever they want.
Always have a control of this. And even if they bring their own clothes, I would probably still, do some adjustments. Because people think that something is beautiful, and probably it is, which could be completely inappropriate for the situation or surroundings. And I mean, I guess you don't think as a photographer unless you ever done this. So people think from one perspective, and I always think from the other perspective. At the end of the day, I'm right, but sometimes, they was like, but why can't I bring this flower dress? It's like, because, just trust me. Yeah, so yes, always having control of it.
Nice. Thank you so much for recording, for accepting the invitation to the podcast, for sharing all your experience on photography. I think there is a lot of people who is either from a hobby perspective or trying to build a career in there that will definitely be happy to hear your experience.
Thank you. When I got your invitation, I was scared and excited at the same time because I told you, I've never done this, but it's amazing experience. Thank you. I'm very happy.
Thank you. I cannot say anything. Maybe just before we close the episode, I think maybe we promote a little bit your social medias and your portfolio if you want. I know you have a website. It's Natalie.
I guess my social media is easier. My name in Instagram is Natalie in Athens. Really easy. Because I was a big fan of Emily in Paris. I was when I knew that I'm moving to Athens, it's Natalie in Athens.
Okay. Now I get the name. Okay. That's a good one. So,
yeah, if you are ever been interested in having a photo shoot in Athens, if you ever wanted something more personal, like boudoir style for yourself or your couple, which the area I'm trying, to get very good at now, check me out. I will be very happy, if you follow, if you contact me. You can also find my website there, and I am definitely trying to create more photos that say, that, how do you say this? Make people say wow. At the end of the day, every artist wants to be,
do a wow effect.
Yeah, I cannot say admire it or look up to, but you want to leave your little imprint in this world, and this is what I'm trying to do.
Makes a lot of sense. Links on social media will be, of course, as always, the description of the episode and in our social media also. So as always, don't forget to subscribe and check Natalia's profiles, webs and everything. And if you're coming to Athens and you want a nice photo shooting, just contact her. Now you have a photographer, a photographer. That's
exactly.
great.
If my style is something that makes you feeling something, then I guess why not?
Sounds good. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mark. It was really, really a pleasure.
This is Expat Experts. Support this podcast by listening us in Podimo and subscribe in Spotify and YouTube.